What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I am here to do my preview video for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus Miami Dolphins. It is in Tampa, so obviously an away game for us. We have to go play a tough game against the defending Super Bowl champs and Tom Brady. Now, as we get through this, and we're going to take a look at the injury report and stuff like that. They do have some injuries, particularly in the secondary, which is going to be huge. Antoine Winfield is going to be out. They have a ton of, injuries in that secondary. So that's going to be, we'll get to keys to the game. That's going to be part of it. If they want any chance of winning. Gronk is going to be out, but that doesn't mean that they have, any shortage of weapons on offense. And obviously Tom Brady is Tom Brady. They have a solid offensive line, and their defense is just outright nasty. So let's actually get into this, though. Let's get a good breakdown. So let's take a look at the injuries, because we do have some significant injuries as well. So obviously Tua's not going to be in this game. Michael Dieter is on IR. Will Fuller has been placed on IR, so we don't have him. Jakeem Grant just got traded, so we don't have him. Raekwon Davis was at practice, and it looks like he's going to play, but they haven't officially activated him from IR quite yet. And that's actually why you don't see him on the injury report, because they haven't actually officially, they've designated him for return, but they haven't officially activated him yet. So it will be interesting to see. I mean, Brian Flores' comments make it seem like he's gonna play. So, but they have to do that before he can play. So we'll obviously keep an eye on that. But Raekwon Davis may be back. They're not a very run-heavy team anyway, and he likely will have some rust to knock off and so on and so forth, having not played for or even practiced for a few weeks. So there is that. So he might not really, be much of a factor, because they don't really run the ball. So we'll see how that plays out. But either way, having him is definitely better, and he does generate a bit more pressure up the middle, so that could help. But when we look at the injury report, so first of all, none of these guys except for Devontae Parker have a game status designation, so we'll start with him. Obviously limited all week. He is questionable with a shoulder and also a hamstring injury. So they didn't list it as both, but he has a shoulder and a hamstring injury. So he's likely to play. He should be playing, but unfortunately Parker's not gonna be at full go, like 100%. So that could hinder his ability a little bit, which is not good, because we're already taking too many hits in that wide receiver core, as was one of my concerns for the season, the injuries. So we'll have to see how that plays out. They said that they want to get him involved more earlier on in the game this week. So we'll see, but that should, Preston Williams and Albert Wilson will be out there too. Obviously Waddle, although with Grant being gone, we should expect to see more of Waddle in the return game, which I'm not a fan of. Not because I don't believe that he could be explosive. He did have that one muffed punt, so there is that. But it's mostly because I just don't want him to take the extra wear and tear and possibly get injured on special teams when we desperately need him in the pass game and on offense, even though they're not using him properly, right? So, losing him would be huge. So there is that. When it comes to the rest of this, though, so Adam Shaheen with a neck injury, is he, all the way there? Greg Mance, he missed Wednesday's practice, but then was full participant Thursday, Friday with a neck injury. So Dieter's on IR. Mance is now dealing with an injury. And how's that going to hold up? Is he going to be able to make it the entire game too? I mean, neck injury, he takes, I don't know if people know this, but offensive and defensive linemen take a lot of shots to their head. So we'll see how that holds up, see if he will be even able to remain in the game the entire time. Although he was full participant with no game status designation, so he's going to play. We'll just see if it ends up being a deal, right? But then when you look at the defensive side of the ball, we have Brandon Jones, Xavier Howard, and Byron Jones all with injuries. And with some limited, Byron Jones didn't participate Wednesday. And these guys, well, real quick, Devontae Parker could be a game time decision as per Flores, just to add that in there. So we won't, he could end up being inactive on Sunday. So there is that. Oh, God damn it, real quick before I finish this, I wanted to tell you guys that just some channel news. Unfortunately, my primary method for watching the games seems to be invalid anymore, because let's just say that it was a free method of watching the games, and it seems as if the place that I go to has been taken down. So I might have some struggles watching the game going into the future. I think that I have a solid plan for this upcoming week and still expect to do a live stream reaction to it. But the reason why I point this out is just simply because if there comes a time in the near future where I'm unable to watch a game live, that would be worst case scenario, because unfortunately I my financial situation is not good right now, so I can't afford things like, Fubo, the $70 a month that it fucking takes to get Fubo TV, or, NFL Sunday Ticket is stupid expensive. So I'm going to do my best. I'm going to try and make sure to always have a live reaction video, but worst case scenario, I will wait until the game is over. I won't look at any social media or anything like that, so I don't know what happens, and then I will just watch it on Game Pass in its entirety and do a live stream replay. That's worst case scenario. All right, so that's out of the way. Let me get back to this. So Parker could be a game time decision, but Howard and Byron Jones, and Brandon Jones to some degree, but definitely more Byron Jones and Xavier Howard, even if, look, Byron Jones has got a quad and an Achilles injury, which is pretty significant. So look, man, if either of those two guys don't play, or even if they do play, they're obviously not going to be at 100%. And so, although, they don't have game status designations, so they are expected to play, but so let's be clear about that. They are expected to play, but they're not going to be at, quite 100%. And who knows, man, we may end up, there is some possibility one or even both of them drops out of the game at some point, which is not a good week. This is not a good week for that. I mean, no week is really good for that, honestly, because, that seriously hurts our defense, and they're, to this point in the season, they're not performing very well. So, it's a concern no matter what, but especially this week against, the top ranked passing offense, or one of the top ranked passing offenses in the league, with Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champs. So I know I kind of took a few minutes there with this injury report stuff, but it is pretty significant. Let's take a quick look though. So I did say Rob Gronkowski, Patrick O'Connor, and Antoine Winfield Jr. are going to be out. Those are significant losses for them. Although, if we're keeping it real, they should still, handle business. Unfortunately, they're just a far better team all around. Questionable game status designations, though, are Jason Pierre-Paul, Jamel Dean, and Giovanni Bernard, although all of those guys are expected to play. And then Antonio Brown, Chris Godwin, and Ndamukong Suh were all on the injury report, although it looks like Ndamukong Suh was probably just like a vet rest day. It's not injury related. Godwin with a thumb, and Antonio Brown with a knee, but they should be good to go, so they are expected to be there, and so on and so forth. So, they have some injuries and stuff like that, but unfortunately, I don't think, but look, again, and their secondary is where they have the most, right, and where they're the most banged up. if there is going to be a place for us to take advantage, it's going to be there. So let's go ahead. That brings me now to my little game preview template here, and let's go through it. Let's take a look at some of these league standings and so on and so forth to get a better picture of where we are, and you know, see how we compare head to head against the Tampa Bay Bucks. I keep wanting to say the Patriots because of Tom Brady being there, but anyway, so let's see. For offense, total yards, we're 31st in the league, and they are 9th in total and 8th in per game average. By the way, this does include the week 5 matchup that just got played last night, so it did shift things around a little bit. But yeah, so we're 31st, unfortunately, in the league. We have 1,008 total yards of offense. They have 1,599. We're 31st, and they are 9th. We have 252 yards per game. By the way, the numbers on the left side are what the Dolphins were the week before, and then this the you know, right side or the middle side of the Dolphins portion is what we currently are. And then obviously on the far right is what the opponent is, the Buccaneers. Obviously we're 1-3, they're 3-1, just to throw that in there. So obviously they're doing better record wise. They have the complete opposite. But when we look at total yards per game, they're obviously beating us. We're 31st in both categories. They're 9th in total, 8th in per game average. As of right now, when it comes to passing, the Dolphins are currently 29th in the league with 798. I keep wanting to say the Patriots, man. The Buccaneers are 3rd in the league with 1,356. Per game, we have 199.5 passing, which is 29th. They have 339, which is 2nd. Total rushing, or when it comes to rushing, we're 28th in both categories. They're 30th in both categories. But like I said, they don't rush the ball. Although we don't have a very good running defense. So if they were going to have a game in which they improved those numbers, this could likely be it. If they wanted to keep some balance, or, you know, let's say they get a substantial lead and then they just want to run the clock out and run the ball a bit more, they could have some success doing it, obviously, because we're not very good on that part of the ball on defense. But rushing, we're still looking at offense. So we have 313 total, which has us at 28th, which is slightly better than their 289, which is 30th. We have 78.3 per game, 28th, to their 72.3, 30th. Total points, we have 62 to their 122, so they have basically twice as many points on the season as we do. We are currently 31st in the league, but with ties included, we're 23rd. They are 6th in the league, but 5th with ties included. Points per game, we're getting 15.5, which is 31st. With ties, it's 23rd. They're getting 30.5, so basically twice as much as we are, which is 5th. And then with ties included, they are 4th in the league. Defensively, okay, we are giving up 388.3 yards per game, which is 25th in the league. They're giving up 375, which is 20th, so they are a bit better than us there. We're giving up 268.5 passing yards per game, which is 18th. That's actually better than their 32nd, but they did have to play, like, you know, the Rams, for example, who have a really good passing offense, giving up 341.5. But when you look at our passing yards per game, we're only averaging 200. So we got a little ways to go to get to their average even. But, you know, like I said, man, that is where there's going to be some opportunity. And we'll get to the keys of the game in a minute, so I don't want to spoil that quite yet. But that is going to be a place where we have some opportunity. They're giving up the 341.5, 32nd in the league. Rushing, we're giving up 136.8, which is currently 27th. They're giving up 47.5. You know what? I feel like that's actually not right, because that is the Carolina statistics. So, whoopsie daisy. I think I may have forgotten to actually change that. I'm sorry. I'm going really quick. I'm trying to find out what it is, because that's not right. I know they're pretty up there in the league. I think I just forgot to change that. Oh no, hey, how's about it? I'm actually completely right. They are first in the league with four. For some reason, though, I thought that was Carolina. Anyway, it's Tampa. So, but that makes sense. You can't run on this defense with guys like Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh and stuff right there. So, you know, the Dolphins, they need to, and again, we'll get to the keys in a minute, but they have to have some sort of semblance of balance, which is going to be tough against this team. They're going to force us to throw most likely. All right, so points per game, we're giving up 27.3, which is 25th in the league. With ties, it's 22nd. They're giving up 26.3, which is 23rd, but 20th with ties included. Takeaways, we currently have 6, which is 9th, or excuse me, which is 10th in the league. With ties included, it's 6th. They also have 6, and they're right behind us on the list at 11th, but with ties included, 6th. Interceptions, we only have 2 on the season, which is currently 21st. With ties, it's 6th. They have 5, which is 6th in the league. With ties, they are 3rd. Fumbles, we have 4, which is 4th. 2nd with ties, they have 1, which is 23rd. 5th with ties included. Sacks, we have 7, which is 27th. 9th with ties, they have 7, which is, and they're right behind us on the list at 28th, but 9th with ties included. Passes defensed, we have 22. We both have 22, actually. We're 3rd, they're 4th, but with ties included, we are 3rd. Okay, and then third down percentage, we're giving up 54.2%, which is currently 31st in the league. 30th if you include ties. They're 48.2, which is 28th. So not much better than us, you know, but still better than us. But 27th with ties included. So, you know, no matter how you slice it, like I said, there certainly are going to be opportunities, but this is going to be a tough game. So now let's just take a look at the head-to-head matchup between the Patriots game, or the Bucs game against the Patriots, and the Dolphins game against the Colts, and see how we did. Well, if you see, they beat us in pretty much every category. We scored 17 points, they scored 19. We had 203 total yards, they had 381. We had 168 passing yards, they had 261. We had 35 rushing yards, they had 120. We were 4.1 yards per play, they were 5.1. We lost 2 fumbles, they didn't lose any. Neither team threw an interception, so we're even there. We were 27% on third down, they were 47%. We had the ball for 22.51. They had it for 33.55. A category we actually beat them in. 5 penalties to their 7. Not saying much, but, you know, it is what it is. So real quick, hang out before we get down to the keys. Let's take a look at quarterbacks. Jacoby Brissett on the season is throwing for 63.9% of his passes for 583 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 77.8. Tom Brady is throwing for 64.7% of his passes for 1,356 yards, 10 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and a 100.3 passer rating. So now let's get to the keys of victory. For offense, it starts by being at least somewhat balanced and efficient. So it's going to be super tough to run against this team. You're probably not going to want to run up the middle. You're going to probably want to push it to the edges if you're going to want to try and have any success. I can't imagine you're going to get past Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea, but you got to have some sort of balance. I mean, we certainly can't run as little as we did last week if we're going to think to hope to run. Obviously, you're going to want to primarily operate in the pass game, but you still got to at least have some of it. It opens up some play action and some RPO options and stuff like that. And you got to be efficient. You got to be able to move the ball down the field and so on and so forth, and then get points. That's part of the efficiency. Get points, right? Either punch it in the end zone, or if you're in field goal range, take the fucking field goal and stop with this bullshit of not taking field goal opportunities when they present themselves. But, you know, the second thing is, you know, after you've done that and succeeded at that, then you need to start taking shots downfield, and you need to do it early and often, because that's where they're beat up, and that's where you're going to potentially get, you know, the most of your opportunities. even though they have a dominant front seven, and they're going to make it super difficult to do so because they are going to harass this offensive line and Jacoby Brissett. So, and then finally, I leave this one every week because they haven't proven to be able to do it yet. They need to play smart football and with no costly mistakes, penalties, or turnovers. And I'm going to leave it until they change that, which they haven't yet. So defensively, though, they need to play sound fundamental football, which means they need to, they need to set the edge in the run game. They need to have some push on that defensive line, especially if Raekwon Davis is going to be back. They need to make sure to get tackles. Don't let up any big plays, although our top corners are battling injuries, so there is that. God forbid if Noah ends up having to come into this game. I mean, that would just be absolutely terrible, right? But play sound, fundamental football. Obviously, that includes, no costly penalties and mistakes on the defensive side of the ball, which we've been seeing. And then secondly, create pressure on Brady, right? Get in his face, fluster him. Maybe then we can get him frustrated and cause a mistake, which then possibly will lead to the third one and create turnovers. Because you're going to have to win the turnover battle if you're going to beat this team. So, whew. Yeah, man. I mean, look, it's going to be a tough outing. And unfortunately, I do not see the Dolphins winning this game. I'm pretty sure almost nobody expects us to win this game. But if they do, man, am I going to be so pleasantly surprised. But it is a long shot, and it is a massive hill that they have to climb. So when I'm taking a look at score, I've decided that I am going to look into, I'm going to start trying to base it a little bit more each week off of, at least I'm going to start with where each team stands in the league standings for, points per game offensively and defensively. So obviously, offensively, they're getting 30.5 points. We're getting 15.5. Defensively, we're giving up about the same, which is like 25 to 27 points each. So, there is that. And so, I've arrived, and then obviously after that, take into account other things like their players, each team's players, injuries, the rest of the league standings, etc., etc. And after doing that, I have come up with a score prediction of 33-15 Tampa Bay. Now, honestly, I would even be a lot happier if they even just kept it closer than that, if I'm keeping it real. Obviously, I'd be ecstatic if they got a win, but I'm not expecting that. I would definitely love for it to even just be a respectable game, and if they could keep it close. But I am going to predict a 33-15 victory for the Bucs. But if we're keeping it real, there is even some chance that it's even worse than that. I hope not, because that would be super devastating and very sad to see. But there is some chance because they have a dominant defense, and there is a chance that they could, completely shut down this offense. And on the other side of the ball, especially with our guys being nicked up, they could really just have their way with us. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully this team at least keeps it close and competitive and respectable. But, we're a couple days away, so we will see how it plays out. And with that, I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comment section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at DillonTartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Phins up.